Hello, and welcome back once again to the Inquisitor podcast with me, Marcus Cauchi. Today, my guest is Graeme Riley. Graeme is going to talk to us about LinkedIn, what it is, what it isn't, how you should use it, common mistakes, your blind spots on it, what works and what doesn't work. But I'm not going to steal his thunder. So without any further ado, Graeme, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much. A pleasure to be invited to your show.
Well, could you start out with 60 seconds on your history and what qualifies you to talk about LinkedIn?
Okay, I've been on the platform since 2004, so one of the early adopters. In 2005, I started teaching people who were unemployed how to leverage the platform in order to drive new interview opportunities, because we still had some legacy challenges with the job market from the dot-com bubble burst. So I taught LinkedIn on a volunteer basis for 10 years. And during that time, what I noticed was that LinkedIn could get you in front of any audience that you chose, not necessarily just an employer. And so when the recession hit, the housing bubble burst here in the US around 2009, I started developing the practices that I was teaching, but putting them in a business context. And so figured out how to social sell with my sales team, because I was running a sales team in the Midwest. And we managed to move the needle of a $94 million business to a $114 million business between 2009 and 2012. And then in 2012, I started my business offering consulting services around business development on LinkedIn.
Lovely. Okay, well, let's start out with the big bugbear. You sell through the network, not to the network. And what I'm seeing on LinkedIn, especially with the advent of AI, is a lot of people doing a dreadful job of becoming just a wall of noise and interruption and irrelevance. So let's just slaughter that particular fatted calf.
Right. You're absolutely right. We're all experiencing a lot of AI noise, and it's not necessarily bringing clarity. And so AI can help you amplify your message, but the genesis is really having a thorough understanding of what value do I or my products or services bring to a very, very specific audience. And once I understand my value, then how am I establishing trust that I'm an expert in solving my audience's problem? And AI tends to dilute that value message unless
specific
care and attention is being put to the training of the AI in your tone and your voice. So it feels like I'm talking to Graeme when I'm engaging with his content.
If we're thinking about LinkedIn as a resource, what are the different ways people can use it, first of all? Because obviously there's the go-to-market function, but there are so many elements to it. And we need to break those elements or put them into a structure so that people understand that it's more than just a shop window.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. The framing, because LinkedIn's just a tool, that's all it is. And how we tend to think about the tool tends to determine how we use it. And if I think of it as simply an online resume, then I wouldn't necessarily then expect any business to come from an online resume. A better framing is thinking of your LinkedIn presence, meaning your profile and your company pages. This is my trade show booth at a trade show that's got 1.2 billion people across the world at it. Now, obviously, there is the tablecloth over a table booth, and then there's the IBMs and the Amazon booths that's multi-million-dollar productions. But what LinkedIn does is it equalizes. This is what you can do on the platform, and how you choose to show up in terms of putting your booth together, your profile and company page together, is really an indication of your professionalism, your communication style, and your attention to detail. Now, we all know, even if we know nothing about LinkedIn, what we do know about trade shows is even if I set up a magnificent Taj Mahal in the middle of the hall, if then the people who are manning the booth, if they go off for a coffee or they're sat at the back of the booth on the phone and not really paying attention, it's not going to get them the engagement that they're looking for. On the flip side, I don't have to have the Taj Mahal of a booth, but if I'm out in the hallway where the traffic is and I'm engaging with people, I'm showing curiosity and interest in them, I'm far more likely to have engagements that are going to lead to business versus simply having a great booth and simply handing out content. I need conversation first.
Okay, so how do you get conversation going if your profile is weak?
It's not necessarily sequential. I mean, two things can go on at the same time. If by definition, you've just said, if my profile is weak, if I know it's weak, then what's stopping me from doing something about it, right?
And if I don't?
That's a choice. That's a choice that's being made. Now, regardless of whether you've got good, bad, or an indifferent profile, if you're showing curiosity and interest in what somebody else has to say. Now, where are they saying these things? They're saying them in the comments, and they're saying it by the content that they're sharing. And because when somebody shares a comment or a post, it's top of mind for them when they shared it. And so it's the equivalent of walking up to somebody and they're already engaged, perhaps with several other people. And we don't barge in and stick our hand out and say, hey, what's it going to take to get you into my product or service? No, we don't. We listen, and then we look for opportunities to add insights and value into an ongoing conversation. We do that naturally in a trade show setting. If we can replicate that behavior inside of LinkedIn, we're going to drive far more conversations, because the recipient of what you're sharing, you're building reciprocity. You're showing interest and curiosity in them. And as individuals, we tend to look to opportunities to reciprocate that level of interest.
And what are the kind of negative behaviors that you see people exercising, probably inadvertently, that harm their success at that particular function?
Not showing the individual that they're reaching out to the courtesy of doing some homework. If I'm a VP of finance and I'm in technology and I've got a fintech product that can help, the day in the life of a VP of finance, don't ask them what their problems are. Go to the table with, in my experience, are you experiencing these sorts of problems? It already demonstrates that you've got some expertise in this area. For example, and I'm sure any of your listeners have been to a doctor's appointment. They don't immediately come in and be prescriptive. What they come in is, and they start to ask you questions. Marcus, are you feeling a twinge or ache in the morning, or are you having difficulty breathing? Whatever they're asking, it's leading towards the prescription. And the nature of the questions that they're asking gives a clear indication of their expert authority. Answers are great, but an insightful question that really hits is, this guy has walked in my shoes. This guy understands the problems that I've facing, and that immediately builds trust and credibility.
Okay, so what are the questions that people almost never ask before they go onto LinkedIn in the morning?
Yeah. So the sort of questions that I typically get asked is, how can I get more profile views, engagement, and followers? What they're not asking is, how do I design my LinkedIn strategy that supports my revenue targets? And how will I measure that beyond the likes and views? Which makes sense. If you want business from LinkedIn, then what system am I putting in place that's going to give me the results that I need? Another one might be, what should I post this week? The real question is, what content system should I be building for my team where I can publish value consistently for the next 12 months and not burn ourselves out? So those are just a couple of examples of, am I thinking about LinkedIn as a function and feature capability, or am I thinking about it as a relationship, education forward mechanism for prospecting?
I'm going to take slight issue, but it's really more of a build than a pushback. Um, in my experience, almost everyone who's in business or in sales
Yeah.
starts with a vendor-centric mindset. And they
Yes.
start with what I sell, what I do, what I produce, my features, my functions, the
Yes.
benefits that I can bring. What they
Yes.
almost never do is they don't think as their customer. And
Right.
as a result, and I've, I was an early adopter as well. I've been on since 2004 too. And
Yeah.
my network is vast. It was about 24,000. I think I've just culled a couple of thousand off it. And I expect it to probably get down to about 8,000 by the time I'm done because I
Right.
connected willy-nilly, thinking that that would give me reach. But actually, that doesn't work in my favor.
Mhm.
And whilst I was trying to get people who wanted to sell, which is a very broad market, um, I spread my network too wide. And as a result, I wasn't really focused on my ideal customer. And
Mhm.
LinkedIn picks up on that. And so it gets confused. So let's take a couple of steps back and work on defining uh, one's ideal customer profile and how to ensure that you're connecting with those people. And if other people want to follow you, that's fine. But LinkedIn's algorithm seems to be very precise about sending your content to people it thinks are going to value it. But if
Right.
you've got 28,000 or 24,000 people, that's going to be rapidly diluted.
Right. Right. So there's a mix there of observations and questions. Um, you're right. The algorithm has changed. It's gone from 30 unique algorithms, and now it's all been brought under one AI platform called 360 Brew. And how to think about 360 Brew is a trade show consultant. And they are constantly looking at what's your profile doing, what's your team doing, what's going on the 55-inch screen TV, what's being said, what's on the table for people to pick up for flyers. It's looking at a holistic approach to what you're doing. Now, what it's not doing is turning around and looking at the rest of the trade show hall, looking at what everyone's doing. You may be connected with everyone, but it's looking specifically at what you're doing first and then deciding, okay, of everyone in the hall, not just your connections, of everyone in the hall, who should I bring the attention of what Marcus is saying to? That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. But one of the things that you led off this question and line of conversation with is most people focus in sales on this is what I do, this is what we do as a company, these are our products and services. It's very us-centric. And you're not wrong with that observation at all. And the data shows that that approach is being punished. And I'm not talking about LinkedIn here. For example, 2025, in the US, anybody in B2B sales, you are 3 times more likely to change your job than any other job category. The average tenure of a B2B SaaS sales professional is 18 months before they go anywhere. The average life of a B2B sales pro is 3 years. That's the average. The ones that are doing well have been at the company for years because they're taking a relationship approach that is, I'm going to behave as a strategic advisor to anyone who has the ability to advise buy my products or service, regardless of whether they're a customer or not. They're not putting them through a sales process. They're behaving as if they're already my top paying client, and this is how I'm advising them. So it's a fundamental belief as to who I am. Am I a salesperson? And we've all seen Alec Baldwin tearing on Jack Lemmon, always be closing. You either get steak knives, a Cadillac, or you get fired. Or I'm one of the trusted pros that has been at the company, and every single year I'm on stage for winning the Chairman's Club for outstanding revenue performance.
Okay. So in terms of the one of the multiple questions I asked, um, curating your network, let's
Yes,
explore that and being careful about how and with whom you connect.
right, right. So if you're already in a business, who is your ideal client profile? There's a common truth that 80% of your revenues comes from your top 20 clients. And so when you speak to them, are we asking the question, why do you do business with us? What are you able to do today that you weren't able to do before? So why do I do business with you, Marcus? Because I'm able to do A, B, and C. This is the impact that your services has delivered to my business. How are you now able to do A, B, and C? It's because Marcus took away problems X, Y, and Z. Now, when you interview your top 20%, what you'll find is the A, B, and C and the X, Y, Z, there's commonality amongst all of them. And here's why I'm so sure of that. Every business is looking for primarily two outcomes: improved financial performance and improved customer, client, user, or if you're in healthcare, patient experience. Everyone's looking for that. Once you have, these are the problems, who has those problems? Who are those of concern? It's typically people in these industries with this sort of job title, in this sort of size of company. Now you're far more informed to start to introduce yourself into their awareness because you know the job title, the industry, the geography that your territory covers. Now I'm visiting their profile. I'm liking and I'm engaging with their content. This is the hey, hello part of the trade show. Now, if I'm commenting and you've said, hey, Graeme, thanks for commenting on my post. I really appreciated your insight. My next then is, hey, I'd really appreciate adding your expertise to my network, Marcus. Would you be open to connecting? Now I'm asking to connect within context. You know my face and my name, and you've taken a look at my profile and you've seen value in adding me to your network. So now I'm connected with you. Now I need to start to build trust. Just because I'm connected with you, next week, if I don't engage with you, you will forget that we're even connected. And so I need a mechanism in place where I'm going to be liking and engaging with your content. I'm going to be endorsing your skills. I might send you a couple of messages, nothing to do with what I'm selling. I just want you to, when somebody mentions, hey, do you know Marcus? Your name and your face are familiar to me. And then how I then progress with, hey, I've got some materials that of problems X, Y, and Z, and would you be interested? I ask permission. I don't send it to you. I ask your permission to it. I respect the relationship that I'm fostering. So it's the same as, hey, hello, how are you at the trade show booth? Shake hands, you have a nice conversation. Hey, do you mind if I connect with you, or can I get your business card? And the more engaged you are at the trade show, the longer somebody is going to remember you. If you say, hello, do you want a candy from the jar, or do you want a flyer? Sure, I'll put it in my bag, and I keep walking. By the time they get to the restaurant that night, they've forgotten that interaction. It's the same principles there as it is on LinkedIn.
I think another element that I've certainly been guilty of is that when I'm commenting historically, I've tried to give strong, definitive answers. And what I've realized is that that doesn't really invite others to comment. And
Right.
I think you mentioned it in our prep for this, how important reciprocity is. So
Yes.
let's tackle that, because I see that often.
Right. So if you feel strongly or you've got some great insights to add, you've got a couple of mechanisms. And here's a practice that I have found works well, is engage with your insights, but give the trailer version of it. When we go to a movie, we see the movie poster, we see the trailer, and then we see the movie. Give a trailer teaser inside of the comments, and then all of your insights that you've got that you want to share, and if it's over several sentences, repost that post. But you're given an option. Do you just want to repost it, or do you want to repost it with your thoughts? Repost it with your thoughts and tag the original poster. Now, not only are they going to see that, yes, you've contributed on their initial post, but you've seen so much value that you're going to elevate what they have shared and share it then to the people who are paying attention to you. And I was careful there to say, share it with your followers. No, hey, you're sharing it with the people who are paying attention to you. And so that builds reciprocity. Reciprocity isn't an event. It's micro doses that builds over time. And so whether you're a physical a trainer at the gym with all the New Year's resolutionists or a nutritionist, what they're going to talk to you about is consistency. And building that thought leadership, being known or recognized by your activity on LinkedIn as a category expert, is simply many little things done well consistently over time.
Okay, so let's look at the profile itself then, because that's obviously something that everybody has if they're on LinkedIn. What are the frequently unasked questions about the profile that people should really be asking themselves in order to produce a good profile?
Sure. My best practice is do not sit at your profile thinking, what should my profile say? The profile is simply the delivery mechanism for the message that you want to convey. You're using your profile to shape people's perceptions, just like the holiday brochures or the ads for a car or the ads for a house. We need an online presence that's going to shift people's perception in order to tip it to the point where they want to engage with it. So start off with, who am I serving? The value that I bring, both as myself and my organization. What do I want to be known for? And then once we've got clarity over that, it starts to make sense that right from our banner all the way down to our recommendations at the bottom, whatever is said on the banner, and you and I are of an age where it makes sense when I say above the fold, right? Is if I go no further than your headline, so I can see your banner, your photograph, and the headline. If I go no further than that, I have got clarity over what are you about? What's Marcus all about? What's he doing? Because if I don't get clarity there, the further I scroll down, my interest level is depleting every scroll that I take. So that's why the top is so important. And so if I make a big, bold statement about the impact and my expertise at the top, everything that follows should support that statement that you've seen above the fold. Does his experience support it? Do the services that he offers support it? Does his recommendations support it? Does his skills support that? Are people endorsing him? Are people recommending him? Remember, the 360 Brew is looking at all of this. And I've got a session coming up where I go into more detail about this, but I have been looking at people who have registered. And I've got VPs of sales, and I go through their skills, and that I know that they set up their profile 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and they're putting things like Windows or Microsoft Outlook in their skills. In summary, it should be abundantly clear without a lot of heavy lifting, because attention spans are short, of this is what you're about. And it's not a resume, it's your relevancy and your capability to solve today's problems for your target audience.
So clearly then one has to be on top of one's profile. How often should you be reviewing it? Every 3 months?
I would say once a quarter. As I've gone about talking to prospective clients and customers, and I'm engaging with people, am I saying things that have done well in, I'll call it the real world? That really worked. Well, if it worked, is that reflected in your profile? Because what tends to happen is people's skills accelerate through their career, but what lags is their online presence. And any of us can think of somebody who has been perhaps a mentor to us or we respect. We know them as a person. If you go and take a look at their profile, is their profile commensurate for who we know them to be? Or do we feel that their profile isn't doing them justice? And that's your opportunity every quarter to do a couple of things. One is it still resonating? And the other is, are the connections that I had several years ago, are they still within my target? As long as you've got a cadence of bringing in net new people to engage with, but some people who they're your ideal client audience, that they can, that you can help them, but now is just not the right time. I need a mechanism to not only acquire them, but I also need to keep them engaged. And so how is my profile engaging with them? And I've got a system in place that is endorsing them, perhaps once a month. It's reacting to posts that they're sharing, sending occasional messages or invites to webinars that you're running. You might say, well, Graeme, people are not posting or commenting on LinkedIn. That's true, people are not. So how do you engage with those? I would offer that even though they're not necessarily posting or commenting, don't assume that they are not paying attention. Meaning that if you see them checking out your profile or you see them following your company page, they haven't posted or commented anything, but there are signals, and Sales Navigator tells you all of these things. I don't know if your audience is aware of this, but LinkedIn Sales Navigator has a listening capability, which means that it will tell you how much attention people are paying to your LinkedIn presence, how much people are paying attention to your booth. And you can follow up with that.
Okay, so let's talk about the difference between LinkedIn Free, LinkedIn Paid, and LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Okay, so just for clarification, anytime that you are paying LinkedIn, it's classified as a premium account. So Sales Navigator, and there are 3 licenses that you can get within Sales Navigator, all of those are classified as premiums. So if I'm a sales pro, the only license that I should have is Sales Navigator. But Graeme, you've just said that there are 3 versions. If you haven't got Sales Navigator, start off with the core, the entry-level version. Why? Because I never encourage people to pay for a fee, features and functions that they're not going to use. So start off with Sales Navigator. Well, why would I buy Sales Navigator? Because you want to be able to accurately research and refine and find the people who have the potential of doing business with you. Then you can use Sales Navigator to look at their behavior on the platform. Are they engaged? Is this LinkedIn indeed the right channel to engage with this company or this individual? How active are they? It gives you so much insight that when it comes to, I want to share something that shows I've done my due diligence, it's a great place to start to supplement what's important to them, as well as adding any additional info that you might be getting from Zoom Info or from Gartner or wherever else that your company is providing prospective clients insights. So that's why you should use it.
Okay, so that's Sales Navigator. If you've only got an ordinary LinkedIn account,
yes,
you can get the free version, or you can pay a premium for a business account.
Yes.
What are the differences between those two, and what's the value of either or neither?
Okay. If you have a great profile and you are active in posting and commenting, the free version or the business version does not put any constraints over your comments or the posts that you're sharing. What it does put constraints over is how much insight you can get from the platform as a result of your efforts. Anybody who's got a free account, if you look at who's viewed my profile, now if you're sharing content and commenting, the things that I'm recommending you're doing, wouldn't it be nice to be able to see who's responding to this? The free version grays out their face and makes them anonymous. And when you do a search for a very specific audience, it only gives you 3 results. So that's the free. When it comes to the business premium, it gives you visibility into who's responding and the daily limits of searches, how many people it's going to return, the visibility in your metrics. It gives you insights into those. If you are on the free version, it's like driving a car blindfolded. As you get the business version, the blindfold comes off and you get more visibility. But your Sales Navigator, when it's used well, starts to become your GPS to make sure that you're heading in the right direction.
And at what level of volume does it make sense to go for Sales Navigator? So our business probably requires no more than 6 on a bad year and 20 on a good year clients. So we're not really after volume. But there are lots of other businesses where they need to be making a sale a day or whatever. Along that range, at what point does it make sense to invest in the premium services, particularly Sales Navigator?
Great question. What you've just shared is this is the value that my prospecting efforts is going to deliver 6 or 12 clients. If you're already delivering 6 or 12 clients like clockwork and you haven't paid for Sales Navigator, then don't pay for it. Clearly, whatever you're doing is working. If there is a delta between your business's stated objectives for customer acquisition and what the reality is, then you clearly have to do something differently than what you were doing before. And so not only, so buying Sales Navigator won't fix that delta. What will fix the delta is if I've got Sales Navigator and I'm trained in the technology and I'm trained in the approach of how to go about prospecting on the platform. Because any technology is a mixture of process, people, and the tech. Bring in Sales Navigator that supports our customer acquisition process, and our people trained on the process, and our people trained on the technology. If they are not trained and held accountable for using it, you're paying for the license that's not being used.
Okay. So in terms of the different types of content one can produce on LinkedIn, obviously there are posts and there are comments. But there's video, there's LinkedIn Live. How do you recommend people use the different media? How do you get past all of the noise and focus on what actually really matters and let go of what doesn't?
Right. Great question. As you've just given, there's a list of multiple ways in which a message or an insight can be shared. The old metrics or KPIs that people paid attention to were how many people have reacted to my post and how many views and comments. The new metrics are around how long did somebody spend on your post and are they saving it and resharing it. Now, I started off this session by sharing that we have to have a relational education forward approach to our prospecting. Now we're getting into the education forward part. If you've got a great insight, then you can absolutely share it on an infographic and you can share it as we're doing now via a video clip. But what we've seen work really well is a carousel post that gives people a very practical way of I can use what Graeme has just shared with me immediately in my role. There's nothing gains trust faster than somebody who's engaged with you because you want to be known as a category expert, and they've given you something for free that has had immediate positive outcome. Not massive outcomes, but it's given them that used to take me 5 minutes, and now it takes me 5 seconds to do. Okay, that's and these are the micro doses of reciprocity. And if I like the carousel and I like the post, I want to save it because a carousel, I'm sharing several of these micro tools, and I want to come back to that because I want to keep grabbing this. If it starts to become part of your workflow, and what LinkedIn will see happening is that Marcus used one of Graeme's carousels. He's saved it. He's spent this dwell time. He's going back to it. Perhaps others who are like Marcus in terms of company size, job, and interests, perhaps they would benefit from seeing Graeme's posts as well.
So the carousel keeps people on for a longer dwell time, and the algorithm picks up on that. And if it's valuable, they'll save it and share it. Okay. What about other media like polls?
Polls used to be the darling of getting intent and engagement. They have dropped off dramatically in 2025. So are they the crowd pull that they used to be? No. Are they still useful? Yes, but use them strategically and in alignment with this is what I'm saying. These are the 3 things you should do. Here's my carousel post that describes it. Here's a poll to figure out are people engaged with it.
Okay, and what's the difference between a homepage post and an article and a newsletter in terms of how that helps create engagement, reciprocity, and reach?
Two opportunities for posting, one on your profile, one on the company page. 98% of content is consumed by people sharing from their profile versus the company page. If you're relying on content from your company page, you're really whispering at a rock concert. You're not getting the engagement and the visibility as if you'd flipped it and it's coming from an individual. Now, the individual, as you say, can share content via newsletters, articles, videos, carousels, all of the polls, all of the things that we've discussed. The difference between a posting and a newsletter is you get more space or real estate on the newsletter. But here's the real power of it, is that it auto prompts people. So LinkedIn, on your behalf, if you've got a newsletter, it prompts people to follow. We've all seen it when we've gone to my network. We've all seen, Graeme's invited you to a webinar. Marcus is, inviting you to subscribe to his newsletter. People don't perceive that as spam. They perceive it as, hey, this is just how LinkedIn works. And so if you've got a newsletter or multiple newsletters, then LinkedIn is going to auto-magically suggest, once somebody is connected, that you follow their newsletter. Now, newsletters, you can have 5 attached to your profile, and you can have 5 attached to your company page. Start off with 1 from your profile. And as you've got this system for adding new people to your network, every time somebody says yes to your connection request, LinkedIn's algorithm kicks in and says, oh, do you want to also, now you've connected with Graeme, do you want to subscribe to his newsletter? In my messaging, I will say to somebody, hey, I put an article together that describes how to get more visibility for your profile and your content on LinkedIn. May I share it with you? Again, I'm asking for permission. And when they say yes, the article that I'm sending is actually my newsletter. And so when they go and take a look at it, and I know they're going to take a look at it, why? Because I've asked their permission and they've said yes. And what that drives then is people that have been perhaps asked in when they connected with me, but they ignored it because they get hundreds of these darn things. Now, because I've got this engagement going on, I get a second bite at the cherry to get my newsletter in front of them. So that's how you drive subscriptions. And the people that have said yes and then like and comment and subscribe, that then boosts your credible expertise in your category. Here's my observation. When you work for a business, whether it's your own business or somebody else's, what that company does not own is your LinkedIn profile and how you use it. It's your intellectual property. And so it's one of those business tools that the salesperson has complete autonomy as to how they choose to update their profile, share comments, connect, all of those things. They get to decide. So if a company's systems are not driving the outcomes that are important to that business professional, then this is one of those tools where they can create content and they can comment, they can engage with their target audience, all at their discretion and levels of motivation and interest.
If we're thinking about the ways people misuse those resources, what are the traps that you see people creating for themselves?
They take the easy choice by marketing is generating content for them. And they say, hey, just pull from this reservoir of content. Sure, click, I'm done. I've done a post. I've done a sales action. That's not relationship or education led. Here's what really happens on the recipient side of a company employing that practice. If I'm connected with several of your sales reps on any given day when new content comes out from marketing and I go to my feed and I've been chatting with you, I see same post, same post, same post. It's not speaking to me. And what it looks like is propaganda. What I need from my content as a sales professional is People have access to the value of my organization, but they get it through me. So I don't want the company's logo drowning me out. I want to have a picture of me inside of my content. And so that's why you see the popularity of people at trade shows events or receiving an award or presenting at a conference. People want to buy into the individual. There's a saying that your vibe attracts your tribe. So, right? So if you're sharing and bringing insights, share some of your personality as well. Why? Because it's an exact mirror of why we go out for lunch with a prospective client. We talk about what we did over New Year's. We talk about plans for summer vacation. We talk about our families. We go on a round of golf. It's relationship forming, but I need to do it at scale. And if I'm doing it on LinkedIn, I'm giving people insights into who I am and what I stand for, even if they've never met me.
So this again speaks to, I suspect, the blind spot that many of us, and I include myself in this, historically, when I have done personal posts, so when my father died, I had something like 30,000 views. It's a really powerful post that was meaningful to me, but I've seemed to always gravitate back to trying to add value in terms of the business side of things. And I suspect it's one of the 7 deadly sins around pride that's kicking in here. What would you suggest people do in terms of a balance between personal posts, educational posts, and insightful posts, and whatever other mix you'd suggest, in order to find the right kind of balance and to make yourself be human and approachable, whilst also maintaining your credibility on the platform?
Yeah. You've just answered your own question. Is those 3 types of posts, it's all blended in.
We're coming to time, so 2 final questions then. Let's start with the easy one first. If we look on our profile, just above the fold is the analytics section, which I blithely for 21 years just driven over. Let's talk to that first.
Anytime you ask somebody for an opinion about their profile, the more people you ask, more opinions you get, more confusing it becomes. So your analytics section that you just shared, Marcus, that you've been skipping over for years, open it up, and it's going to give you a sanity check for your profile. It's going to show you how many views have you had on your profile in the last 90 days. Most people are hovering around the early hundreds, some not even that. If you haven't been posting, which is the middle analytic, you're going to have 0 impressions because you're not sharing anything. And then the third analytic, as you're reading from left to right, is the number of times that you've appeared in a search. Now, if your profile isn't configured for the right skills, keywords, you're not sharing content, what you'd expect to see, if you're not doing those things, is appearances in a search might be around 100 or sometimes lower. What that immediately tells you is whatever you're doing on LinkedIn, you are a well-kept secret. Regardless of what your profile is saying, you're a well-kept secret. And to your earlier pointers to, should I update my LinkedIn profile? Well, I can't understate or underrepresent my value, because if I'm doing one or both of those things, why on earth would I ever expect that I've got the ability to drive new opportunities from it? Ideally, we want our appearances in a search, so I'll work back, our appearances in a search to be measured in the thousands. I want, I'll start off with hundreds, but ideally I'm looking to maximize the number of impressions that I'm leaving with educational value content that speaks to my audience and speaks to who I am as a person, the mix that we just talked about. And then the number of views on my profile, I want to see that measured in the thousands. Now, as you do a deeper dive into the metrics and you show all metrics, is the majority of my network, a majority of my LinkedIn here doesn't talk about followers or connections, it talks about your audience. Who is the mix of your audience? If it's the majority of your audience is from companies or a previous life that bear no relation, you have to start to change that dynamic of your audience by both connections and what you're saying, so that the algorithm starts to push that content to the new audience that you're looking to serve. The analytics, like the dashboard in your car, is giving you an unbiased view of how your profile and your content and who you're engaging with is giving an unbiased perspective. If you don't have a premium account, this visibility is significantly reduced.
Okay. So final question then. At the top of the call, you talked about having a content strategy. And a content system. So let's talk about what a good content system looks like.
Sure. One that is sustainable. I mentioned the New Year's resolution is at the gym. Gym car park is packed in January, empty in March, right?
Well, I think by the 5th of January, it's empty again.
So if you're going to have a strategy, then truly, what is our game plan for Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4? Do we have a mechanism of constant review? Every month, every quarter, are we formally getting behind what do we need to stop doing? What do we need to start to do? And what do we need to keep doing? So that collectively, the best practices are spread amongst all of your organization. And then are we introducing, based upon what the data is telling us, are we getting more saves and more reshares and more mentions that are clear indications that we've got a strategy in place to position ourselves as an organization, or myself as a solo entrepreneur, as a category expert? It really depends on your comfort level and your interest level on, do I need to learn Canva, PowerPoint? Do I need get into the AI tools? What's my scheduling cadence? All of these things. Do I have somebody in my organization who can take that on board? Do I have the capacity to take it on board myself? Or am I going to engage someone like Graeme or folks in my industry to help me with it? Because if you're not doing it and somebody on your team's not doing it, it's not being done, and you will remain a well-kept secret, which makes it tough to get your 6 or 12 clients every year. So
if you are using the scheduling tool, does LinkedIn penalize you if you're not responding quickly to comments? Getting it out there is great, but then it's about the engagement in the first hour, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely no different from the trade show. You've got somebody who's stood around, they've shown up, they perhaps attended your webinar, and they're ignored by the sales team in the booth. Or they've raised their hand and in a webinar, they've come and asked a question and they've been ignored by the sales team. Why on earth? If we didn't have LinkedIn, we didn't have social media, back to the golden era, right? In the 80s and 90s, we didn't have these things. But we knew any sales leader watching his sales team man that booth, if people were being ignored, they would be on that sales professional like a ninja, saying, why don't you talk to them? That's a missed opportunity. My question is, why aren't sales leaders today being the same ninja when something's clearly visible? Well, I don't know if people are commenting or responding, Graeme. Yes, you can. Go and take a look at their profile, look at their activity, see their posts, you see the comments that they made. If they're not commenting, or if they're just saying, hey, great, thanks. That's it. They're the right job title, they're in the right industry, and your response is thanks. What's the follow-up from this? Mimic trade show behaviors, polite, professional, courteous, showing curiosity. Mimic those behaviors on LinkedIn. You will crush your goals in 2026.
Well, I lied. There's one more question, which I'm reminded of from our last call.
Okay.
LinkedIn Sales Navigator licenses are not cheap. And when you've got a sales team and each of them has one,
yes,
what on God's earth are leadership thinking by not teaching people and not having KPIs around productive usage of LinkedIn? Because let's be honest, the majority of people who use LinkedIn are doing a pretty bad job of it. And when they are engaging, they're not terribly engaging. So, if you've got 100 salespeople and you're spending, what, 600 quid a year, that's a lot of money to be burning. So what advice would you give to senior leadership if they have a sales team and they pay for LinkedIn Sales Navigator?
Yeah. Training is one of the first budgets that every business cuts. And it's easy to buy technology. It's hard to instill a culture of accountability and best practices for using that technology. When somebody's good at sales and they've been around a while and they've enjoyed success, a lot of them get promoted. So now they're sales leaders. They're unconsciously competent in selling. Now, they're not necessarily the custodians of best practices on how to use LinkedIn and Sales Navigator for prospecting. Now, they will say, hey, I'm going to give you the tools, but they're not understanding the culture and the training that needs to surround that tool in order for it to give it the ROI that it was initially sold to the business on. I think I mentioned, as we prep for this call at the start of 2025, we used AI, we analyzed 2,000 B2B sales job descriptions. Zero, not one of those job descriptions asked for social selling, Sales Navigator expertise in order to drive pipeline. Not one of them. 98% of them asked for CRM expertise. Well, what are you filling your CRM with if you don't have a system in place that puts in qualified, viable opportunities into the CRM? And that's why a lot of companies spend millions on their CRM, but they don't trust it. What they do is they ask their leadership, ask their sales leaders, and sales leaders ask their reps, what's the pipeline? What do you think is going to close this month? They want to hear it from the person. Why? Because they don't trust the CRM.
We've come to time, and I could rant about that for hours, so that may have to be another episode. Okay. So in summary, engage, build relationships, be consistent, make your profile relevant, have a content strategy which you apply systematically and consistently over time, use the resources that you have available depending on what account level you've got in order to ensure that you're using the different types of media to create dwell time and return visits. Ensure that people, the content that you're creating is savable and shareable.
Yeah.
Have I missed anything critical?
It's all important.
Fair enough. Graeme, first of all, thank you. This has been incredibly insightful. You've got a golden ticket. You can go and whisper in the ear of the idiot Graeme, age 23 or so. What one bit of great advice would you give him?
Yeah. Talk less and listen more. David Bowie's got a great quote. He says, as we get older, we become the person we were always meant to be. And I consistently get feedback that I'm a great listener. So my listening skills exceed my presentation skills. But the reason I'm listening is because of the insightful questions that I'm asking that is encouraging people to share.
Excellent. How can people get hold of you?
Well, on LinkedIn, if there's several Graeme Rileys, but if you take a look at Graeme Riley in Minnesota, that'll be me. Please reach out, follow, attend one of my sessions. Anybody who's listening here, I'm more than happy to jump on a call, perhaps look at their metrics. And I did share at the start of this session that behave as a trusted advisor, not as a salesperson. So if you do book time with me, I am going to act as a consultant. I'm not selling. Now, if you want to get my help afterwards, then I would talk about how we would work together. But that initial call, I'm just acting as a consultant, giving you actionable advice based upon what the metrics and what your profile is telling us both, or is telling anyone who cares to look.
Excellent. Graeme Riley, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So this is Marcus Cauchi signing off once again from the Inquisitor podcast. If you found this insightful and useful, then please like, comment, and share, and tag somebody who could benefit from it. And if your company has a LinkedIn Sales Navigator license, but you haven't had any training, you might want to forward this episode to your boss. So in the meantime, stay safe and happy selling. Bye-bye.